Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate Tuesday morning. And we're back in the saddle again, y'all. Welcome in. Great to be with you. Hope all is well. Hope you had a spectacular weekend. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the metaphorical glass is AM, the man in charge of the radio broadcast. If you like it, he gets all of the credit. If you hate it, he takes all of the blame. Hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the content couch cow, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate. He is the great one. Lonzo is here as well. What up, Zoe?
I notice you're trying to push it.
Can't do it yet.
Yeah, you really should not do that.
Can't do it yet.
Because you can still hear it in there.
Yep.
And this stuff, it hangs on.
It's lingering. Do you have to? Do you have to let it linger? I don't have a choice. It just won't stop. And of course, it didn't help that I was off Wednesday and Thursday sick. You could very clearly hear it on Friday. And then my response is, hey, let's work some hockey games Friday and Saturday night, which I did for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. And what ended up happening on Friday, Lonzo, as the hype guy, the guy that's on the mic, trying to juice an entire arena full of people in a big moment? Friday night's game goes overtime shootout win. So I get home Friday. I'm exhausted. Saturday was my boy Andrew's birthday. So Saturday we hit up a round of golf. I get to the golf course Saturday. Hey, Google, what's the temperature outside? It's currently 37 degrees. And did Rob go, no, Andrew, I love you, but not that much. Nope. He threw on the Al Michaels quarter zip and hit the lakes in the cold. Then worked a hockey game Saturday night. What'd that game do, Lonzo? Overtime winner again. Juice in the arena. Woke up Sunday to the lady friend. How'd you sleep? Pretty good. How was the game? Pretty good. How you feeling? Not great. So, like at some point I'll stop. But today's not that day. And that's all right. So I'm gonna have the what I refer to as the sexy rasp going on for a day or two. Then we'll be back to normal.
I hope it's just a day or two. I'm down for that because, yeah, this stuff it's got claws.
It just won't. Like I got the smoker's laugh is what I got.
Yeah, it's cringeworthy.
Yeah,
I got to tell you.
Yeah. I can't. All right. You know what? I'm gonna jump right into this because on Friday, I'm at the game. It's late third period. Game's a good one. And my phone is in my pocket. Now, if you haven't been to a Greenville Swamp Rabbits game yet, come on out. Come on out. See what it's like. It's a blast. If you like football, you'll like hockey. It's that simple. But I'm at the game, and they put me up on the camera, right? Like every couple of stoppages of play, I go up on the Jumbotron. Whether it's to play a game or to hype up the crowd or whatever. To let people know where things are going on in the building. Whatever I'm doing, I'm up on the Jumbotron. So I'm filming a piece for the bits. And my phone. Bzz, 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 and I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? So we get done with the bit, and I go back to the ZAM tunnel because I try not to, when I'm out and about in the crowd, I'm working. I'm trying not to be on my phone. I go back down to the ZAM tunnel, down to my little refuge, away from the masses, and I pop open the phone, And I have something to the tune of, between my Twitter and the station Twitter connected on my phone, I have something to the tune of like 145 notifications in the span of like 7 minutes. What the hell's going on? And if you have not yet seen it, what had happened was, on Offsides on Friday, Mark Ryan made a comment that said that Garrett Riley, the new offensive coordinator for the Clemson Tigers, who replaced a fired up Brandon Streeter, which we talked about last week, was actually and initially the target of Shane Beamer and his Gamecocks. And that Shane Beamer and his Gamecocks were unable to get Garrett Riley. Dabo was able to get Garrett Riley, and that was a bit of a boot on the neck of South Carolina by Clemson by getting the guy that they wanted, getting the guy that Shane wanted. And Shane Beamer responded to that. Shane Beamer responded to that in a tweet in which he absolutely went off on the station / Mark. He said in that tweet, and I'm scrolling back, and he may actually. So I think hang on, never mind. No, he didn't. It's just not in the initial. You got to go to tweets and replies, I believe.
If you can't find it, I had it texted to me so I can read it from the text.
I've got it somewhere. Here it is. I found it. See, I got it somewhere. Here it is. Shane responded to a tweet from the Fan Upstate Twitter page, which says, Shane Beamer in South Carolina really wanted Garrett Riley. Clemson got him. What does that say about the tier status of both of those two programs? And then Mark and Diesel linked to the segment of the show that they did on it that day. Beamer quote tweeted it and said, quote, I normally don't respond to second-rate JV radio programs I've never heard of, and apparently no one else has either, considering you're in the upstate and have 8,000 followers. Do you have a good source other than, I don't know, me? Happy for Garrett. We got our guy, end quote. That tweet from Shane Beamer, if you pull it up and break it down, that tweet from Shane Beamer has now reached over 2.8 million views. That tweet has hit 784 retweets, 580 quote tweets, and over 7,850 likes since Shane Beamer tweeted it. And there's a lot of conversation going on about it. And I've been asked about it a lot of times. And, you know, for those of you who have not picked up on the vibe of the station, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. For the record, I have not spoken with management about this, the tweet, the response, our response, any of that, because management here at the station says, go on your show and say and do the things you need to do to have a good show, which is one of the reasons I've worked here as long as I do and will continue to. So here's what I'm going to say. I'll start with Mark's take, the take that generated all of this in the beginning. I have zero clue if Garrett Riley was actually the guy South Carolina wanted. I have not heard that anywhere else. I am not saying Mark is wrong. I'm not saying Mark is right. What I am saying is Mark has here an opinion, a belief that is unfalsifiable. I cannot say that Mark is correct or incorrect, because it is absolutely possible that they weren't able to get him, and Shane said, this doesn't get out of the building. I will also say against an unfalsifiable take that I didn't hear it anywhere else, right? I didn't hear it from any of the folks we talked to in Columbia that follow the team. It wasn't put out by anybody else. This is Mark's unique and original take. I will say, in what is the one thing I think that could get me in trouble, if this isn't true, if this is not factually correct, and if Mark doesn't have sources, which he is not obligated to tell us if he does and who they are. If this is true, then Mark has an incredible story, right? If this is true. If it is not true, and Mark has faulty sources, then that's going to be on Mark, just like any other journalist who breaks news and information. If you put out a news story and it turns out that your sources were incorrect, you own the consequences of that. You own the consequences of that. Nobody else. That's why Adam Schefter got in so much trouble last year, remember? Because he had all these things, sources. And then one day it came out that some of Schefty's sources were the NFL telling Schefty what stories they wanted broken and when and how to break them, right? If Mark had bad sources on this, then Mark owns the consequences of the blowback. And again, I am not saying Mark did this. I don't know. I have no idea. Mark and I talk about a lot. We do not talk about what is going on each other's shows because we want different shows, right? I don't want to say to Mark, this is what I'm talking about later. And he goes, oh, that's good. I got to talk about it. And vice versa. Not that we're not willing to help each other, but we don't talk about show content or prep with each other because we want different shows.
I'm guessing today will be a little bit different.
Perhaps. I'll tell you this. It's 9:12. We are 12 minutes and 43 seconds deep into my show. Haven't heard a word. Here is the last thing I'll say. And I say this with respect, though I would say it to his face, as I would say it to any other journalist. And I would say this to any of the kids that I have ever mentored in this business. I would say this. This is not a shot. Some people will take it that way. If this story is made up, shame on Mark. And the blowback should be consequential, right? This is a heck of a story to make up. So if Mark is correct, he's got an incredible story. If Mark is incorrect and he got bad information, then it's on Mark to own the consequences of running with a story that he was unable to completely verify. And if the story is made up, then shame on Mark. Those are the three options, right? Either it's true, it's not true, and Mark was fed bad information, or it's not true, and Mark had a hot take. If it's that one, shame on Mark. If it's that he got bad information from bad sources, then he's got to own the consequences. And if it is true, and it comes back down the line that there were conversations between Shane Beamer and Garrett Riley, Riley, then Mark Ryan is going to have the biggest bullet in the gun ever aimed at Shane Beamer, right? It's an unfalsifiable premise. No one is going to be able to prove that Mark Ryan is incorrect. Shane can come out and absolutely say, we got our guy. And if you're a Gamecock fan, you're going to believe him. And if you're a Mark fan, you're not going to believe him. And nobody's going to ever be able to prove it unless Garrett Riley comes out and goes, Scouts honor, I never had a conversation with South Carolina. In which case, okay, it's on Mark. It's on Mark to prove where he got that information or to just accept the blowback one way or the other, right? As far as the station, our shows are separate. We are colleagues in trying to make the station great, make the station better. We work independently of each other. I have no inside information on how Mark got this information, where Mark got this information, whether he got it from somebody in the program, whether he got it from somebody in the media in Columbia, or whether he made it up. I don't know. I can't know. But like I said, if it's true and Shane Beamer responded with this, Mark Ryan is going to have a big bullet in the gun down the line on Shane Beamer. If it's not true and Mark got bad information, then he's got to own the consequences. And if it's not true and he made it up, then shame on him. And I would say that to him, just like I would say that to any radio dude in the business, myself included, Jim Rome included, Colin Cowherd included. If you make something up and there is blowback from it, shame on you and you deserve it, whether you were a coworker or a friend or a colleague or somebody I've never met in my life.
All I know is that at first I was very offended for a couple of different reasons. One, and I will say this forever because I'm one of the few people who can say this, I helped start the station. So when someone comes at the station, I feel like they're coming at me. And my wife was like, why are you offended by this? It's like, that's my baby, and someone's coming at my baby. The second thought was, okay, why are you stooping to this level, Shane Beamer? And why are you responding? If in fact this is a JV station with as little followers as we have, why did you bother responding? I mean, and that's still, and I am a Gamecock fan, but it bothers me because it feels like he's pointing out how low we are, but he's willing to come down here where we are and comment on it. But then finally, I started thinking about something else. There is one person in this building could make me mad enough to do something that I normally wouldn't do. And that would be Mark Ryan. So the fact that he got under Beamer's skin is kudos to Mark, because he's good at what he does. And he's good at making people mad, and he's good at getting people to respond, which is part of his job. And I did my time there. I know what that's like. And but in the end, I'm still a little offended about him coming at the station, because I know there's an angle that I could go back at him with, and I'm not going to do it though. And it was all I could do to not respond that way, because I didn't feel like I needed to defend the station. The person who brought this on us should be the one to defend the station.
So I want to respond to that, but I want to do it in the next segment, because I think there's more to this. And the second half of this conversation came, Mark said it on Friday. Why is Shane Beamer responding? He spends too much time tweeting at people and not enough time coaching. And Lonzo saying he was a bit offended by Shane-O coming for the station. I completely understand why Shane-O came at the station. And as a member of the station, I ain't offended by it at all. And I'll tell you why when we come back. Your feedback on this whole drama is not only welcomed, it's encouraged. I genuinely want to know where you stand. 844 fan phone, 844-326-3663, or shoot us a text at 71307, 71307. Start your text with Fan FAM. We'll read them on the air. We'll keep this conversation going when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, on the stream, don't go anywhere. I got to do a live read. I'll come back, and we will interact with all you guys. Stick around. All right, dudes and dudettes, we are back. Here we go. James says, good morning, and Duval. How about TL? Built a 27-point lead for the Chargers just so he could start his legend. Love it.
Yeah, we'll see about that Saturday.
Yeah, no, he's going to get waxed. I said that about 3 games this weekend, and they were almost all good. The only game that wasn't good was the one I said was going to be good. Skrilla, we're glad to be back, buddy. We're glad to be back. Kevin said Dak Prescott showed out last night. Josh Allen almost gave me a heart attack Sunday. Go Bills anyway. Yeah, Josh struggled a little bit. How about Brett Maher missing 4 PATs in a game? Woof. Good thing Dak was in fuego. Trey said, I sent a text to the show about SC fans wanting Riley as the hire before Loggins was hired. I saw a lot of comments in different areas of internet saying that fans wanted Riley. I mean, they might have, but wanted Riley versus South Carolina wanted Anwar to move on Riley are different things. I'm not saying you're wrong, Trey. And again, that's why I'm not throwing Mark under the bus here, because I don't know if it's true or not. Not going to lie, your buzz imitation for the vibrator of your phone sounded a lot like the beat to the tempo in Sandstorm. Digga-digga-doo, digga-digga-doo, digga-doo. Hog says, hey. I went to 2 Gamecock games last year. Nope, year before last. Not this past year before last. Florida and Clemson. Sandstorm gets in your head. It doesn't come out for 4 to 5 days.
Yeah, it definitely does.
So I'm going to defend Shane Beamer in the tweet that he said about the station. He said, I normally don't respond to second-rate JV radio programs I've never heard of, and apparently no one else has either, considering you're in the upstate and have 8,000 followers. So I'm going to defend Shane Beamer by saying this. Shane Beamer took offense to Mark's comments for the same reason that Lonzo took offense to Shane Beamer's. Because that's his baby, and somebody made him look bad, or tried to, right? At the end of the day, while I am not going to defend nor protect Mark Ryan, he is his own host on his own show. And again, I've told you my 3 positions. If it turns out to be true, Mark Ryan is going to have dirt on Shane-O for a minute. If it turns out to be untrue and Mark got bad information, then yes, you have to suffer the consequences as a journalist. And while Mark, I have heard him say multiple times, I am not a journalist. That is a breaking story. In this capacity, Mark Ryan was serving as a journalist. That is not a debate or a discussion. That is a fact. While we are not journalists, we can serve in the role of journalists if we are breaking a story. When Rob Brown goes down to Clemson and covers a game in person, I am a journalist at that moment. That is not my job, but in that moment, I'm a journalist. Mark Ryan, in breaking this information, whether it's true or not, is acting in the role of journalist in order to enhance his job as an analyst / commenter, right? So if it is true, Mark's going to have dirt on Shane for the rest of the time he's at South Carolina. If it's untrue and he got it from sources, then Mark made a critical mistake as a journalist and will have to own the consequences. And if it is made up, then Mark pretended to be a journalist while actually making a hot take, in which case, again, with all due respect, shame on him. And that's not me attacking. That is something I would say to literally anyone in this job. I would say it to Lonzo and Diesel and myself, which is why I don't make up stories for this exact reason. Not that he did, but this is a response if you do, right? Now, in utilizing his platform to, in this role, serve as a journalist and break a bit of information to the upstate, Mark Ryan, intentionally or unintentionally, took a shot at making South Carolina look bad. Obviously, there's a rivalry there between they and the Tigers. And by saying the Tigers got the guy that South Carolina wanted, what does this say about the tier system? You know good and darn well what you were implying it says about the tier system. You are implying that Clemson is on a higher tier than South Carolina. And regardless of if that is true or not, if you are Shane, the knowledge that we all have is that perception is reality. And so anytime that somebody tries to perpetuate the belief, again, true or not, that South Carolina is on a lower tier than Clemson, a guy like Shane, whose job security is wrapped up in making sure that South Carolina ends up on the same tier or a higher tier than Clemson, is going to defend it. And a good way to, like it or not, ugly or not, a good way to defend your standing is to kick the legs out from somebody else. You don't have to like it, but it works. Why do you think during politics season, the overwhelming majority of advertisements that you hear from political candidates are what kind of ads?
Attack ads.
Attack ads. Because it has been proven time and time and time again that talking about what you are and what you do is not as effective to other people as kicking the legs out from your opponent. Making them look bad does more for you than making yourself look good. Shane could have responded with a tweet with, hey, we were 9-3. Did you project that? We had a good year. We beat Clemson. We beat Tennessee. We made it to a top-tier bowl game. We were competitive. I think we're just fine. But that's not what people respond to. And to take that one step further, Shane Beamer, as I have brought up many times, Shane Beamer is on the upward trajectory that he is on, I think for one primary reason. Because Shane Beamer is more effective at communicating to the next generation of recruits and fans than most other coaches. Dabo Swinney is very good about communicating to a very select group of players, right? Players to whom faith is one of their biggest things. Dabo communicates great with them. Players who truly put the whole, I want to feel like I'm a part of a family thing above everything else, Dabo communicates well with them. But Shane communicates well, in my opinion, based on, for instance, his use of social media to communicate with the next generation who, whether they have a faith-based walk or a family-based walk or a money-based walk or a career-based walk or whatever their primary driving and motivating factor is, one thing that is accurate about the next generation is that it is very involved in social media. And Shane, I think, as well as any other coach in college football over the past 2 years, has learned to communicate with that next generation and with the fans via social media in a way that not many other coaches do. And so you've got those three factors all coming together. You've got Shane Beamer seeing some guy taking a shot, some guy with an audience, by the way, right? This is not Joe Blow nobody fan in Greenville, South Carolina. This is the #1 rated sports talk show in the drive time slot in the entire upstate of South Carolina. Taking a shot at knocking South Carolina down a peg, which means that Shane is going to do what? Defend his baby. The guy that took the shot did so on social media. So where else would Shane respond to it but on social media? And Shane is also trying to put that burn up in front of the widest audience possible. What's the best way to do that? On social media. Lonzo took offense to this tweet, and understandably so, because Shane, took a crack at the station, calling us well, in fairness, he said second-rate JV radio program, not station, but the dig at the follower count is at the station. So Lonzo took offense to the tweet because Shano took a shot at his baby, and that's understandable. But I think the important part is we also keep in mind that, agree with the information or not, believe it's true or not, Mark Ryan took a shot at Shane's baby, which was his program. So all of this started with a Mark Ryan shot at Shane's program, and Shane just returned fire at Mark's program. And frankly, the station as a whole kind of got caught in the crossfire there. So I understand why Lonzo would take offense to that tweet, but honestly, it didn't bother me because all Shane did was defend himself from the exact same thing going back towards his program, his baby.
You know, if this was just Mark going back and forth with him on his own Twitter account, that's different, but he's doing it on the fans' Twitter account, which represents all of us. And there may not be a lot of us.
I don't have a problem with that.
But it represents, I do have a problem
wait,
with
but let me defend that, and then I want your response. Let's look at the Fan Upstate's original tweet. The Fan Upstate's original tweet says, Shane Beamer in South Carolina really wanted Garrett Wrightley. Clemson got him. What does that say about the tier status of both of those two programs? It is not signed Mark Ryan and Diesel. It does not say offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel. It does not say this is a Kraft tweet by Mark Ryan. That came from the station. Now, yes, is it from Mark Ryan's show? Yep. But Shane Beamer, unless he listened to the segment, and let's hope he did. But unless Shane opened up the hot link that was connected to that, Shane doesn't know that came from Mark Ryan, and it came from Diesel, and it came from us. All it came from was the Fan Upstate. If that came from Mark's personal account and then Shane fired at the Fan Upstate, sure, I get where you're coming from. But as far as if you're, put yourself in Shane Beamer's hat. He's sitting at his computer desk, clicking away on the social, keeping up with his recruits, right? Because I heard that question a lot. Why is Shane on social media? Where are the majority of the kids that Shane Beamer is tracking and recruiting? Where's the easiest place for him to put eyes on them without breaking any no contact rules? On social media, right? So Shane pops on social media and all he sees is a tweet from the #1 sports talk station in the upstate of South Carolina attacking him in the program, not from a host or from the station.
But again, see, that's been my point and been my point from the beginning of the station. I have a problem with someone going on and representing the station and putting their opinion as if it's the station's opinion. I have a problem with that because it doesn't represent everyone here. And if you want to have your own opinions on your own account, great. But if you're representing the station, that means you're representing the people who work at the station. And that means your tweet should be as unbiased as possible. But what these tweets do, they say the Fan Upstate is a Clemson station, and it is not.
I agree with you, but that is, and again, I think we have to be honest about this whole conversation. That's an in-house thing, right? That's between us. That's between me and you and Diesel and Mark and Rob and Mark Hendricks and anybody else that might tweet from the station page. That's not Shane Beamer's fault. That's why I don't have a problem with it. That's not, Shane Beamer didn't look and dig through to find out, okay, who crafted this tweet, who specifically at the Fan Upstate said this, who at that radio station put out this take. He just responded to a tweet that had no names, no shows. It just came from a radio station. So it would make sense that he would attack the source of the tweet. And while, yes, the tweet, the station account is an umbrella for all of us. That's why for the record, that's why I'm defending Shane Beamer and not Mark Ryan. Because Shane Beamer didn't do anything wrong here. Shane Beamer saw a station come for his baby, and he defended his baby. And if I'm a South Carolina fan, I don't want anything less, right? I absolutely want my coach out there roasting folks in defense of my program. Now, I know there, and again, we can take this conversation one step further. And we should say, should Shane Beamer be out there getting into it on Twitter? That's subjective. That's up to you. The answer to me is hell yeah. Hell yeah. There are some young coaches. Mike Norvell down at Florida State is one. Shane Beamer at South Carolina is one. That have Deion Sanders at Colorado is one. Not that he's young, but you get it. There are some younger to the game coaches that have learned that there's a couple of things that you can do to drive recruiting and to whip up your fans to be supportive. And social media interactions like this one are one. Again, you don't have to like it, but that tweet has now generated over 2.8 million views, has generated over 78,500 likes. In fact, let me refresh it because I bet you it's grown by a couple of more since then. And it has generated over 1,300 responses from South Carolina fans. Now, does Shane Beamer care if those South Carolina fans turn their guns on the station? Nope. All he cares about is that they are out there spreading the good word of the Gamecocks. Let's, again, to be honest in all of this, does it hurt me and you? Sure does. Of course it does.
It hurts me very much because, again, it implies that the fan upstate is a Clemson station and we are not. And there is only one show in the entire upstate where Gamecock fans can come and not be ridiculed, and that's this show.
Sure.
That's it.
And again, the cause of that problem stems from the tweet from the station, not from Shane Beamer, right? Does it hurt me? You're damn right it does. And I would, again, respectfully, would tell Mark and Diesel to their face, that tweet, this interaction, hurt me and Lonzo. Because there are Gamecock fans in the upstate who went to the fan upstate and blocked the Twitter page, deprogrammed 97.7 and 97.1 out of their car. There absolutely are. And I would be intellectually dishonest to say that. And I know that because they've told me. Because they've told me. I know that there are Gamecock fans that are gone, and I know that it hurts us. The point that I'm making here is that's on us, not Shane Beamer. You shouldn't be offended by what Shane Beamer did. If that tweet is signed, sealed, delivered from offsides, different story. I get it. But it wasn't. Texture says, Rob, hell yeah, as a Carolina fan, I support this. Fire back. This only helps South Carolina. Coach, don't give AF. You're correct. You're correct. If I am a Gamecock fan, I read that tweet from Shano like, hell yeah. Go get him, coach. GATA, baby. Go get him. No problem. And that, at the end of the day, what's more important to Shane Beamer? That a few thousand Carolina fans saw that and went, yeah, that's my coach. Or the image of this radio station. I think we all know the answer to that. I think it's all pretty obvious. Now, to wrap this up, and I'll read some of your thoughts. If you want to hit us up on the text line 71307 with your opinion, started with fan. I want to know where you come out on all this. But before I get there, I will say this last piece before we take a break. When it comes to what Shane Beamer is doing in terms of whipping up an audience, whipping up his fan base, getting on board, he did the right thing. He did the right thing. He defended his program, and he did so in a way that Gamecock fans could get on his back. Shane Beamer, I'm going to promise you, do I think our show's important here in the upstate? Yeah, sure I do. Do I think if somebody called Shane right now and said, hey, Shane, they were talking about you on the Rob Brown show, that Shane Beamer knows what that means? No, I don't think he knows who I am yet. I hope he does one day. And I will say this before we take the break. Sitting over on my desk is the phone number and email to the public relations department that runs the South Carolina football program's communications. The minute this show is over, I will be going to my desk. I will be going over to that phone. I will be dialing that number. I will be speaking to the man in charge of the football communications. And I will be extending an invitation to Shane Beamer, to the football program, to come on this show and discuss everything. Do I expect Shane Beamer to take the invitation? Not really. Am I going to extend it anyway? Absolutely. I'd love to have him on. And I'd love to have him on in a neutral setting where he's not going to say what he said here. Are we second-rate JV? Subjective. Some people think we are. Some people think we don't. But I will give Shane or anyone else from the football program who wants to take it the opportunity to come on this show on the station in question and address what happened the way that they so choose. I hope they accept the invitation. I'll let you know how it goes. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Your comments on the text line, 71307. Start your text with FAN. We'll read them when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, Hudson said, Gamecock fan right here, man. If they're a listener, we know you weren't like that, Lonzo, and we're still here.
Thank you.
I think the righteous thing for Beamer to do is to go to Mark Ryan personally before putting him on blast on the internet. I get that, Trey, and like in an ideal world, that's perfect. But you got to think about it from the perspective of a head coach of a Southeastern Conference program in that state. Shane Beamer has got 1,000 media members a day. 1,000 media members a day saying stuff about the program. Shane can't go out of his way to shake the hand of every pundit that he ends up having a problem with to try to smooth it over, right? Like he can't. He didn't have the time. He's got a program to run. It takes 30 seconds to craft and tweet what Shane Beamer sent out. How long would it take? I mean, granted, you'd like to think that Shane could just call the building and go, hey, can I speak to Mark Ryan? And Mark would run to the phone to have the conversation. I would, right? But how much effort is it for him to do that versus just crafting the tweet in 30 seconds and then getting the hell on with coaching a football team? I mean, yeah, you could argue that it was over the top. And I think it's not even unfair to say it's over the top. But it's kind of like political rallies the last few years, right? Like, I don't understand how, when, and why political rallies became pep rallies, where it's a rah-rah shish boom bah, our team versus yours in both directions. And you go to rallies and I don't wonder why we have such a ridiculously conflict-driven and polarized political atmosphere if you watch the rallies. And I'm talking Democrats and Republicans alike. If you watch the rallies, they're the bad guys trying to do all the bad things, and we're the good guys trying to do all the good things, and never the twain shall meet. Of course, people are going to start butting heads. You want that in college football. You want that in college football. It's fun in college football. And that's what Shane Beamer bought into. James said, is it possible that Riley's name was on a notepad along with several others and they just went with someone else? Hell yeah, it's possible. That's ultimately what I'm driving at in all of this here, is that what Mark Ryan said is at its base unfalsifiable. You cannot prove that he is wrong, right? Even if Shane came out and said he was never a target, Does that make Shane more likely to be telling the truth than Mark? Not necessarily, right? If Garrett Riley comes out and says, I never had a conversation with South Carolina, that doesn't mean that he wasn't a target, right? That doesn't mean Mark insinuated that they made a move and they were unable to get him, but he never outright said that, right? So even if Riley said, I never had a conversation with South Carolina, it still would not falsify the claim. Mark's claim cannot be proven wrong. It doesn't mean that Shane Beamer isn't going to come out and defend himself and the program from a take that ultimately says that your program is lesser than your rival. All right, let's wrap up this conversation with some final thoughts on it. I did not mean for it to take up a whole hour, but let's be real. The head coach of one of the two largest football programs in the state of South Carolina took a run at the station. Of course it was going to be a conversation this morning. Here's a couple of thoughts that have come in so far. Hudson said... And I'm going to paraphrase Hudson because I lost the... Oh, here it goes. Hudson said, nothing wrong with Shane responding, but it was a bit over the top, though. Yeah, again, it's college football. In a world which on Saturdays shows us video footage of 30 fat guys shirtless in a blizzard with chest paint on, knocking back 30-ounce brewskis, and yelling for 18-year-olds to run a ball good. Over the top is what we love about college football, right? A marching band is over the top, but we love it. Cheerleaders cheering for 19-year-old boys to throw and catch a ball is over the top, but we love it. 107,000 grown-ass human beings paying upwards of hundreds of dollars to sit in a building for 3 hours and watch a child's game is over the top. But we love it. Over the top is what we do in college football. So Shane going over the top is pretty damn par for the course. It really is. Somebody asked the question earlier, is it possible that Garrett Riley's name was written down on a notepad as a potential target and they just went somewhere else? The answer is yes. Like I said, at the end of its day, the biggest issue with all this is that Mark Ryan's claim is unfalsifiable. It cannot be proven incorrect. Shane Beamer can come out all day and go, we got our guy. Garrett Riley was not a target. That does not prove that that is true. And I don't have any reason to believe that Shane Beamer is or is not more likely to be telling the truth than Mark Ryan. Garrett Riley could come out and say, I never had a conversation with South Carolina. That does not mean he wasn't a target, right? Doesn't mean South Carolina wasn't interested. They just may have come up to Dow Loggins first or got to the point that they went, hey, we don't, TCU's gonna be making a deep run. We don't want to wait that long. We want to get the new guy in because think about it. They got a transfer quarterback that Carolina fans are optimistic might be a Heisman finalist next year. They needed to let him know in Spencer Rattler who the OC was going to be next year so he could make the decision to come back or not. Maybe waiting for Garrett Riley wasn't a realistic opportunity. That would still have made him a target and Mark therefore correct. Or his name never came up behind closed doors and Mark's wrong. And he either got that information or he made it up. Either case, he's got to live with the consequences of it. I don't think anybody did anything wrong here. The only something went wrong is if Mark Ryan just made it up. That's wrong in this scenario. If he made it up in order to make South Carolina's program look bad, then yes, that would be bad. Shame on him. But if you got bad information and ran with the story, yeah, it was a mistake. Is it the worst thing in the world? Not really. It's college football. If he's telling the truth, then Shane Beamer lying about it, that would be bad. But he's also protecting his program in the process. I would understand that. All right, let's get a couple of real quick texts in here before we got to run to a break. Texter said, with all due respect, Rob, you should have called Beamer to be on the show way before now. Hell, Dabo, too. You and Mark still are the best. Thank you very much. I don't disagree. I had a busy weekend. And I don't think anybody was picking up on MLK Day yesterday when we were all off. And nobody was going to be in that office at 7 o'clock this morning when I got to work. So, again, I'm going to give him a shot. Text says, as a Carolina fan, I support Shane. Fire back. This only helps South Carolina. Coach, don't give a F. Texter says, Mark should have signed that tweet or tweeted it from his private account. Texter says, I enjoy y'all's show and station, but I think many of you have a false idea of what your reach is and how important you are to a little more than a portion of the upstate. Yeah, I mean, ratings are ratings, right? Texter said, how are we going to find out if it was true or not? Like, I need to know ASAP. You never will. You never will. You'll never find out if that's true. Texter says, apologies to Shane Beamer, but this is the best station in the state. Texter says, you can get people to respond when a lie is told. Tell Lonzo to put his big boy pants on. Texter says, Mark always says he isn't a reporter, but he likes to act like one. When did media turn into a gotcha? I'm impartial. What does this matter except to South Carolina?
Hey, Rob, what do big boy pants look like? Do they have a label on the inside that say big boy pants? Are they a specific brand?
I can tell you they're at least a 38 waist.
Okay. All right.
At least a 38 waist.
At least a 38. Okay. All right.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll put this to bed. We got more. We got the NFL playoffs to get into. The NBA is going strong. Braun crosses the 38,000 point mark. What's that mean? And more on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Roger said, I have my big boy pajama bottoms on.
There you go. It's my goal somewhere around 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I got my 2 hours and 15 minutes of sleep last night. Been so congested you can't go to sleep because of it. That was me last night.
Well, last night's the first time I didn't take medication when I went to sleep. Actually, I think I slept okay.
James says Mark may have gotten burned by a source. Absolutely. That again, I told you there were 3 possibilities to this scenario. Possibility number 1 is that Mark is correct and that Shane is lying, in which case Mark will have dirt on Shane. Possibility number 2 is that it is not true and Mark got burned by a source, in which case nobody's in the wrong, but Mark will have to accept the consequences of running with a bad source. Or possibility number 3 is Mark made it up. And if that is the case, then shame on him, and all of the piling on is going to be a part of it, right? If that's what happened. Okay, I'm going to answer your question. Mark tweeted it, but from the Fan Upstate account and did not sign it. And that is what, again, that is the main reason that.
Yeah, put your name on it.
Yeah.
I mean, so then you're not representing the entire station. You're just using
Correct.
the station and representing yourself.
Robbie said the tweet is from the Fan Upstate, not the Offside Show, right? But why do you keep saying Mark is right or wrong for writing it? Sounds like Rob is insinuating Mark did make the tweet. No. Mark and Diesel sent that tweet. Okay, Mark and Diesel sent that tweet. That is not a discussion. Mark and Diesel sent that tweet,
and they will pridefully take credit for
100%
it later on.
Correct, but they did not sign it. Right now, If they had signed that tweet, and even if they signed that tweet, all Shane would have had to do was start his tweet with the word Mark, comma, and then I would have felt the exact same way. But again, that is an in-house protocol scenario that's going to have to get cleaned up, right? Like we all make mistakes. That's an in-house protocol that's going to have to be cleaned up next time.
No, Steven, that will never happen, ever. At least I'm consistent.
Does it bother you though when there's an entire wall of urinals, you're in one, and a guy walks up to the one you're right next to? It's just a little bit like, dude, you got all that. Why, what you up to?
I'll put it this way. I'm secure enough in my masculinity that I don't care, but there's that lizard brain part of me in the back that's like, that's not the rules, man.
Same great show, new time.
The Rob Brown Show.
Now 9 to noon, only on the Fan Upstate.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
Would Dabo Swinney rather lose doing it his way or now win doing it the required way? Look, I agree with Dabo about wanting what's best for the sport, but you are not going to win in this sport if you're not involved with name, image, and likeness, if you fail to utilize the transfer portal, if you avoid hiring the best possible coaches and instead hire your boys because we're close, our families are close.
If it does, Trey, and I have not seen an edit button yet. I also know that the last couple of changes Twitter's made, they've rolled out to small percentages of the Twitter population before wide. The other thing I would say is one of the things we have discussed in the past is we do not change other people's tweets without a conversation first. So I still wouldn't have gone in there and changed that tweet. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Tuesday. How was your weekend? Great, I hope. Spectacular, even. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you want to be a part of the radio broadcast, now's your opportunity. 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. You can also text the radio broadcast at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet the great one at Lonzo Onward, or you, like Shane Beamer, can tweet all of us at The Fan Upstate on Twitter, at The Fan Upstate. So, Jim Harbaugh has decided to make his way back to Michigan, I'm assuming to the chagrin of one great one. Harbaugh will be in the maize and blue for at least one more year. As I predicted last week, I thoroughly believed that Harbaugh was doing this likely as a leverage play against the Wolverines. Why? Because it's exactly what he did last year. The same thing. I'll be interested in the NFL if they call me. And then they call, and then all of a sudden, Harbaugh's got himself another 3-year extension with a few more dozen mil tacked on the end from Wolvie.
Yeah, until all the job openings are filled, I don't believe them.
The fact that Michigan's president came out and did not say, we think Harbaugh will be back, or we are working with Harbaugh to get him back, or we are in the process with negotiating with Harbaugh, but he straight up said he's back. He's coming back. There is a difference between we are confident Jim Harbaugh will be back versus Jim Harbaugh's back. I think Harbaugh's off the board, which leaves the last remaining home run hire on the board, Sean Payton, former coach of the New Orleans Saints. And wouldn't you know it, ladies and gentlemen, but the Carolina Panthers have officially requested permission from the New Orleans Saints to have a discussion with Sean Payton. They are now in. The question mark here is, are they in because they're in? Or are they in because of some outside reason? Now, I've heard a lot of people say they're in to drive up the price, but that doesn't make sense. Why would the NFC South's Carolina Panthers want to drive up the price of Sean Payton, the trade for whom goes to the NFC South's New Orleans Saints? Why would Carolina want the Saints to get a higher draft pick for Sean Payton? Wouldn't it be quite the opposite? Sean Payton is going somewhere else to coach next season. Why would Carolina want to talk to Sean Payton for any other reason than they do have an interest in him coming to Charlotte? If they jump in to drive up the cost for Arizona, Denver, and Houston, who are the three teams that have interviewed Sean Payton so far, if they jump into that bidding war, they drive up the price for Sean Payton, who profits from that? The Saints. The Saints don't have a first-round pick next year. The majority of Saints fans, a lot of Saints fans, myself included, have already written off the 2024 season. Sorry, 2023 season.
Wow, you jumping way up.
Honestly, I might write off 2024 too. The 2023 season is a write-off for the New Orleans Saints. We don't have capital. We don't have money. We don't have players. It's a write-off. But a first-round pick going to New Orleans possibly changes that, right? Because now you can utilize a guy like a Michael Thomas, like a Jarvis Landry, like a Marshawn Lattimore, like an Alvin Kamara. You can utilize those guys in order to take some cap money off the book and replace one of them, a massive cap hit, replace one of them with a first-round draft pick who's not going to cost you nearly as much. It makes 0 sense for the Carolina Panthers to get in on the Sean Payton contract negotiations. That's not what they are. It makes 0 sense for the Carolina Panthers to get in on the Sean Payton interview request if they're not actually going to interview Sean Payton and take him as a serious candidate for the job. And as I've mentioned a number of times in the past, what head coaching job right now is more attractive than the Carolina Panthers? There's not one. Denver has Russ Wilson, who, let's all admit, as much fun as we've had at the expense of his drop-off, and as much fun as we've had at the expense of Broncos country, let's ride. After Nathaniel Hackett was cut loose by the Denver Broncos, the last 2 weeks of the season, Russ kind of looked like Russ again, didn't he?
He definitely improved a great deal.
After Hackett got gone from Denver, Russ looked like Russ again. So you got a quarterback in Denver. You got a quarterback question mark in Carolina. Denver's defense was very good. Carolina's defense was pretty good and is younger. There's a lot more pieces to it. And has a ton of draft picks Denver doesn't have. Denver offensively doesn't have the weapons that Carolina has right now. Between Carolina and Denver, what's the more attractive job today? I argue it's Carolina. Between Carolina and Arizona, which, by the way, did you see what Cliff Kingsbury did? Cliff booked a one-way ticket to Thailand. He was like, I'm out. I'm going to go bang down some pina coladas on the beach in the Pacific. I am done with this crap. I'm out. So Arizona's open. Sean Payton's interviewed there. They've got a young quarterback in Kyler Murray. But you know what else they've got? They've got a former Cardinal, we don't know who told Arizona media last week that after Kyler Murray got his last fat paycheck, that the Arizona Cardinals, quote, created a monster in Kyler Murray. And again, another quarterback we've had fun at his expense. We had fun at the expense of the Call of Duty jokes. We've had fun at the expense of the pouty lip. We've had fun at the expense of the do your homework clause that was in his contract that got taken out. We've had a lot of fun at the expense of Kyler Murray. Maybe a guy like Sean Payton looks at Kyler Murray and goes, that right there, that's a project quarterback. He's undersized, just like Drew Brees. He's got some escapability from the pocket, just like Drew Brees. That's a project quarterback. But outside of that, and DeAndre, what does Arizona have that what does Arizona have that Charlotte doesn't? Not much. J.J. Watt's retiring. You just lost your best pass rusher. They got Budda Baker back there at a defensive back. Is Budda Baker better than J.C. Horn? Not if J.C. stays healthy, I can argue. Right? Carolina's a more attractive job than Arizona right now, in my opinion. And do I even need to waste my breath or your time asking if the Carolina Panthers are a better job than the Houston Texans right now, who have also interviewed Sean Payton? Is there a football coach in America that goes to Houston before they go to Charlotte right now? No. Carolina's the most attractive job available. They have got the draft capital to make this move. They've got 3 options in the quarterback room right now. Sean Payton could do anything he wants. You want a grizzled vet on his way back up? You got it. You want a former first rounder trying to prove himself? You got it. You want an unheralded third rounder who's got accuracy and is coming in to prove that his drafting wasn't a fluke? You got it. And while you won't have a first round pick to go get your project quarterback this year, Sean, because that's got to go to pay for you, you will have it next year. And if you want, we'll trade back a few so that we go into next year's draft with a fat stack of draft picks so we can trade up to get whoever the hell you want next year. Not only am I convinced that Carolina is asking to interview Sean Payton because they truly are interested, not because they want to drive up the price. I'm tired of, they're just doing it. Why would they want to drive up the price? It's a divisional rival. It would literally hurt them to drive up the price. They want the price as low as possible because they've got the most draft capital available and they don't want to throw it all away. Carolina becomes less attractive to Sean Payton if they got to give up 3 or 4 draft picks to get him instead of 1, maybe 2. It's a less attractive job. Still more attractive than Arizona. Still more attractive than Houston. Still more attractive than Denver. And by the way, you'll notice there's one team that is currently permanent head coachless that I have not mentioned right now. The Indianapolis Colts have not asked to interview Sean Payton. Not yet. In fact, they have done the bare minimum in terms of interviewing. I'm almost wondering, and it's speculation, I've got nothing to base this on, but I'm almost wondering at this point if Jim Irsay is going to be so hard up to prove that the hiring of Jeff Saturday was not a mistake that he's going to make him the perma head coach next year, hoping that Saturday turns it around with an offseason to learn and proves him and his ego correct. Because my goodness, was Indy's run to the end of the season, what's the word I'm looking for here? Hysterical?
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about a couple other programs.
Sure. No other programs decided to go pull a guy who had not only never been an NFL head coach, had never been a head coach above the high school level to do it.
The way some other coaches coach, they might as well have been in that situation.
Fair.
Losing's losing. Doesn't matter how you do it. It could be by 1 point. It could be by 57.
I disagree with that.
It's still, in the end, you look at wins, you look at losses, and they lost. So, I mean,
James says, surprise New Orleans isn't asking for 2 first-rounders from the division rival. Look, you can ask for whatever the hell you want. Asking does not mean you shall receive, right? And the Saints are going to get the Saints want to get something for Sean Payton rather than nothing, right? They've got Payton under contract until 2024. So they would rather get something for Sean Payton this year than wait until next year because the price is going to go down next year because it's only 1 year on a contract versus just letting the contract expire in 2024 and then Sean Payton goes somewhere and the Saints get nothing for him. Now, they can absolutely go to Carolina and go, all right, if Carolina for you, it's 2 first-rounders. But if nobody else is offering anything close to that, and Carolina steps up and says, we'll do 1 pick better than Denver, like, yeah, you're going to have to face Sean Payton twice a year, and that's a big problem. But so what? So what? You want the best haul you can get. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they say, yeah, it's a first and a third, except for Carolina, in which case it's 2 first. Otherwise, we refuse to do that deal. But if Tep goes to Sean and goes, hey, bro, we want you, and I'm prepared to make you the highest paid head coach in the history of the National Football League to get you, but we can't do a deal with New Orleans right now. Sean's just got to sit out for a year because the price drops even more next year. Worst case, sits out 2 seasons. The Panthers hire a bridge coach, and either the bridge coach gets the job done in 2 years or he doesn't, and they fire him for Sean Payton in 2 years. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's take a break. Actually, I take that back. Let's get a phone call in here. Let's get Robert in here real quick before we run out. From Rum Robert to another, welcome to the show, young man. Good to have you.
Hey, man, I apologize. I was out of my car for 10 minutes. You may have just talked about this. But I was just wondering if Sean Payton comes, they're probably going to have to give up on getting a quarterback again. And I was just, well, pardon me if you had just already talked about that.
Yeah, we mentioned it. I certainly don't mind hitting it again. That is the case because you'd have to give away your first-round pick to get Sean Payton this year and probably another pick, mid-rounder, either this year or next year. But at the same time, you're sitting there at pick number 9, right? And to me, there's only 2 quarterbacks in this draft worth moving up from pick number 9. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, the only 2 guys worth moving up for. In order to move up to get one of those 2 guys, you are going to have to put together a haul of draft picks because there's going to be 5 or 6 other teams that are looking to move up into that top one spot. Houston is going to take whoever's left at number 2. You've got to trade all the way up to first overall with Chicago, which is going to cost you, I think, more than it is worth to roll the dice on CJ Stroud or Bryce Young at number 1 overall. So I don't think getting a quarterback out of the draft this year, I don't think you were going to come out with a quarterback that was any more guaranteed to be successful than just giving a gamble on Matt Corral next year.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You got it, Robert. Thank you very much for the phone call, man. Good to have you. Welcome in. Glad to have you as part of the Armada, my man. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Speaking of the National Football League, I don't know if you knew this or not. Some playoff games this weekend.
Including last night. Yeah.
Oh, Tom.
Who?
Tom.
Who are you talking about?
Woof. Let's take an initial look. I'll tell you what, let's come back. Let's look at Saturday's games. Then we'll take a little bit to look at Sunday's games. And then I'll let Lonzo just laugh for 3 to 4 minutes about last night's game. How's that? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Take it down. Take it down.
Rain showers here for today with cloudy skies, a high 57. Tonight mostly cloudy, low 45. Wednesday chance for rain, light cloudy, high 60.
shows to your queue to catch up later. There's a lot to listen to. So get started and download the free Odyssey app today.
Sponsored by Corley Plumbing, Air, and Electric.
At Corley Plumbing, Air, and Electric, we offer solutions to meet your needs. Call Corley Plumbing, Air, and Electric today or skip the line and book online. CorleyPro.com. That's CorleyPro.com.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan.
Upstate.
BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with hosts Quinton Mayo, Trista Crick, and Brian Horvath. Real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM Tonight, exclusively on Sunday.
Upstate.
Download the Odyssey app. Get in the game, Mama from Brown Show.
Only on the Fan.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you. Be a part of the radio broadcast, 844-326-3663. Text us at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the other. Let's take a look at the NFL playoff games from the weekend. 41-23, San Francisco gets the better of Seattle. I thought that Seattle would see a lot of run out of San Francisco. And they did. I mean, they rushed the ball 33 times. I thought, first off, the weather would play in this game. They were predicting heavy rainstorms throughout this game. It rained up until a couple of hours before game time, but it was nice and sunny during the game itself. So that opened up the offense a little bit. And then Brock Purdy had himself a day.
By the way. Yeah, I can't mention Brock Purdy without mentioning the introduction. Did you see the introduction from Paul Heyman?
I did not.
You need to go back.
I saw that he did one.
Oh, you need to go back and watch.
But I have not gotten to see it yet. But again, the NFL is for men.
Yes,
so
well, but he
makes no sense having a wrestling guy there.
So like 5 or 6 people knew who he was when he did the full-on Brock, and he did, and it was awesome.
Did he go Brock?
Oh yes,
Purdy.
Yes, he did.
Incredible. Well, it clearly worked to hype up Mr. Irrelevant because Brock Purdy went out for 332, 3 touchdowns, and a 131.5 rating on top of an 89.5 QBR.
Wait a minute. A rookie quarterback's not supposed to be able to do that in the playoffs, especially one drafted as low as you possibly can.
Brock, which I think now is the only way we can say his name, right?
Absolutely.
Brock Purdy goes out for 18 of 30, 332, 3 touchdowns, no INTs, and average, though, 11.1 yards per completion.
That ain't bad.
No.
Not bad at all.
And, of course, it doesn't hurt you when you got C-Mac running 15 for $119 and 7.9 yards per carry. That ain't bad either. Not bad either. I thought San Francisco was going to run the hell out of the football to A, minimize Brock Purdy's chances at turning the ball over. He did not. He took great care of the football. I thought the weather would force San Francisco to run the football. They did run it 33 for 181, 119 of them belonging to Christian McCaffrey. But I thought this game was going to be close because of those reasons. Turns out the weather did not nearly have the implication that I thought it would. A. B. Turns out maybe Brock Purdy is just a pretty good little quarterback. So when people say, oh, Matt Corral, 3rd-round guy, you can't trust him to be the guy. I mean, Brock Purdy, I don't think Brock Purdy is in any danger of becoming the new Brady, that we're talking about him 25 years from now. What a 7th-round pick for the Niners. But he can go to Seattle and win a playoff game.
Doesn't mean that that's out of the realm of possibility.
Sure.
I mean, dude's playing awful good.
Sure. Later on in the evening, Trevor freaking Lawrence, TL, reels off 4 INTs.
3 to the same guy, if I recall.
3 to the same guy. That is correct.
All I kept saying is, yo, Trevor, don't throw at that guy.
Asante Samuel Jr.
Find out where Asante Samuel is. Throw the other way.
Yeah. 3 picks. Drew Tranquill had 1 as well. 4 picks for TL, and the San Diego Superchargers found themselves up 27 points at one point.
You know, this is one of those games where you're like, yeah, this is over. Let me find something else. But you know what? I'll stick it out. Let's see what happens in the beginning of the second half and see if you never know. We've seen some big comebacks this year. And then you just started to see it build, and it's like, uh-oh, they're going to come all the way back and win this game.
I was at the hockey game for that one. And I decided that, you know, I told you guys, like, I come on between breaks in the action and talk. But while they're playing hockey, you know, I just kind of hang out, talk to the crowd, hang out with fans, help them have a good time, whatever. I decided to make my way up to the lounge because this game was on. And when TL threw pick number 3, I was like, okay, all right. So I just kind of tuned out. I'm like, I'll check the highlights tomorrow. Then I get done. I get in the car. I turn on 97.7, the Fan Upstate, the JV second-rate station. And I start listening to the game, and they're like, Trevor Lawrence has just thrown his 3rd touchdown of the night. I'm like, dude, what? What? Come again? It's 30-13. Then the Jags just kept coming. TL finishes 28-47 for 288, 4 picks, and 4 touchdowns. Travis Etienne, 20 totes, $109 on the ground. Evan Ingram, 7 grabs, 93. Christian Kirk had 8 for 78. Zay Jones had 8 for 74. TL spotted the Chargers 27, and then the Chargers said, hey, Matt Ryan, hold my beer. 28-3, and now 27-0 in the playoffs. Unbelievable collapse. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not sure. I'm not sure that the Chargers are going to fire Brandon Staley for that. I can tell you I would not be shocked to find out that feelers were put out to Sean Payton.
If he's going to be fired, he's going to be fired for the lackluster season, you know, because they've had Herbert for a while and all the expectations that go along with him. And basically the season ends the same every year.
10-win season for the Chargers. Justin Herbert was 25 of 43 for 273. They ran the ball 23 times for 67 yards, and that's with Austin Ekeler. I don't know, man. Like, I thought the Chargers would be about a 10, maybe 11-win team. I thought they'd be good. I don't know who expected them to run the table in the AFC. I did not expect them to surrender a 27-point lead on Saturday night. That's redonk. That's terrible. It's atrocious. The Jags, on the other hand, down 27, could have absolutely packed it in and went home. By the way, did you see the national anthem performance for that game? The Jags have rolled out some incredible national anthems, including a Florida man who came out in jorts with a Hulk Hogan skullet and shredded the anthem on a Fender Stratocaster. It was the most Florida man national anthem I've ever seen. Listen, I despise the city of Jacksonville with every fiber of my being. I have for years enjoyed the futility of the Jacksonville Jaguars because of the pain and suffering it brought upon those that live in Duval. I know they're playing your squad this weekend, Zoe, but the Jags have kind of started to earn a soft spot in my heart because they're just leaning into it at this point.
Bless their heart.
It's adorable.
Welcome to Kansas City.
It's adorable. The Jags, by the way, speaking of incredible moments that have won me over, the Jags official social media account sent out a logo on their Twitter that was an image, Zoe, of the Atlanta Falcons bird with the Chargers bolt for the wing.
I did see that. That was kind of messed up.
That's amazing content. Their official We Won tweet. You know, you always got to send out the official final score tweet. The official final score tweet, Zoe, was an image of an Apple iPhone charger that had been all frayed and wrecked at the end. Incredible content from the Jags. They have earned a soft spot in my heart. Trevor Lawrence had an abomination of a first half and then looked like a freaking Pro Bowler in the second half. I was very prepared to come in here and have the plate of crow served to me piping hot. Hey, Rob, was it all Urban? Are you sure? Because TL threw 4 picks in a game. But then he came back and he threw 4 TDs at the end, and the Jacksonville defense allowed a single field goal in the third quarter. That was all the second half scoring for the Chargers, while their offense ran out and put up 13 in the third and 11 in the fourth. Damn, Jacksonville. Way to have a little fun. Let's take a break. When we come back, let's take a look at Sunday's games. Speaking of quarterbacks who did not hit the mark, do we need to take a Josh Allen off of Josh Allen? Is he back down to just 2? Because Josh Allen was plenty mediocre on Sunday. But his team gets by. They win. They escape. The New York Giants look like the early season New York Giants, not the late season New York Giants, and Minnesota collapses out the gate. How about that? And Cincinnati gets it done against Baltimore, and the Lamar drama has hyped up once again. We'll talk all the Sunday games when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
In-depth sports analysis and discussion every weekday at 6 on the TA Show. Only on the Fan Upstate.
In Philly, Jim Harbaugh told the University of Michigan president that he's staying put with the Wolverines football program, ending speculation that he'd return to the NFL. Both sides plan to work on a contract extension going forward. The 59-year-old's been the head coach at Michigan since 2015. Hear every play of the NFL playoffs.
I don't know, those bombs he hit were lasers, especially the touch. Yeah, dude, Dawson Knox was a monster, man.
As a Walgreens pharmacist, I talk with people all the time
time about little tips and tricks for filling your Medicare prescriptions, like taking advantage of Walgreens 90-day refills to save them a trip, or using Refill by Scan, which is super easy and right on your phone. And for anybody worried about prescription costs, I say, hey, we got you with low-cost copays on many medications.
Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here. Fill your way and save at walgreens.com/Medicare. See pharmacists for
Pow, 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 pow.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift the Eras Tour, presented by Capital One. Oh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay at Suite 13.
Oh, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Do.
Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that.
We're coming to it, Kevin.
But if it is,
We're coming to it.
We've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
From the Ingles Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Can't tell if there's going to be a drop here or not.
Nah, I think it's pretty steady.
There it is. And it's not even a drop. That's just a riff.
Yeah.
Still a drop coming, right? All right, the Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Alonzo and you. Taking a look at the NFL playoff games from the weekend. Miami 34-31. Shorthanded, but they do cover. Free money if you listen to Rob and Zoe on that one. 12.5, 13.5. Don't ever bet an NFL favorite that's got over 12 points. Almost never works out. Buffalo survives the scare. 23-39, 352, 3 TDs, and a pair of INTs for Josh Allen. Allen also had 3 fumbles in this game. Now, I have been and remain a Josh Allen apologist. I'm a big fan of JA-17. Josh Allen is a dude. Josh Allen's offensive line just got manhandled by the Dolphins in this one. The Finns at the point of attack were just deadly, and Josh was in trouble. Still needed him to secure the football better than he has. But the O-line had him under assault the majority of the game. One of those fumbles was while Josh was establishing his throwing motion. A couple of them were pretty bad. Of the interceptions, and my man Kevin popped up in the stream, which you can watch at facebook.com/thefanupstate or by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show on YouTube or on Twitch. He said the picks Josh Allen threw to John Brown, the picks Josh Allen threw, John Brown didn't finish the route, and Cole Beasley dropped a pass. The fumbles were on the O-line. I will absolutely agree that of the INTs of Josh Allen, I think both of them were NHFs. Not his fault. I've argued for a long time that there should be 2 different interception categories for quarterbacks. INTs and NHFs. I think JA's 2 picks were both NHFs.
Come on. They already get enough protection, enough all this stuff. You don't need to give them another category. They were his fault. He threw them. He gets credit for them.
I mean, if you hit a dude in the chest and it bounces off his chest and gets picked, it's kind of the wide receiver not doing his job.
Then you threw the ball too hard.
No, sometimes you got to say, it's a wide receiver at the National Football League.
Again,
that ball
but-
should be able to come in at 180 miles an hour, and you should still make the
No,
catch.
there's a
You're a
thing.
wide receiver in the NFL.
There's a thing called touch. And knowing what kind of touch to put on a ball when you throw it. So he gets credit for it, and he should, because he threw them. And if I were Buffalo, I'd be glad that Tua wasn't playing, because if Tua's playing, it's a totally different game. I mean, it's a totally
Depends on
different
what Tua
outcome.
you get. Do you get Tyreek's Tua or the other Tua?
I just, I've been sold a bill of goods about how great Buffalo is, and I didn't see that. I did not see that at all. That game was in jeopardy for a good portion of the game. And if Buffalo is the heir apparent, as sports media seems to believe they are, especially the beginning of the season, oh, Josh Allen, which is where all that came from, by the way. But they're not living up to it. They're not. And it could have very easily lost that game.
I mean, sure. But you guys beat the Broncos by 3. You beat the Packers in a game that didn't matter by 7.
Kansas City is not the chosen one this year. Buffalo is. Since Buffalo got messed over last year in the overtime rules, and then they changed it.
They did.
They did not.
They did.
Because the overtime game happened the very next week, and no one made a big deal about it.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Because everyone wanted Buffalo to be in there, and they weren't, and they didn't get what they wanted. So they pushed the Buffalo narrative all season long, to the point where it's so annoying, and Josh Allen can do no wrong, and they barely won that game. They need to be scared, because Cincinnati is going to come in and take care of business.
That game's going to be fun. I won't disagree with that. So JA 17 ends 23-39, 352, 3 touchdowns, 2 NHFs. Miami just didn't run the ball. 10 carries for Jeff Wilson Jr., 23 yards and a touch on that one. No other Dolphin had more than 8 yards rushing in that game. They rushed for a team total of 42 yards. That's not going to get it done in the playoffs. The Giants put away Minnesota. New York came out the gate. It was 14-7 at the end of the first quarter. New York would put up a field goal in the second. Minnesota would get a touchdown back, 17-14 at the half. And then it was just the Giants winning a second half slugfest, partially because Danny throwing dimes went for 301 and 2, but he also ran 17 for 78, including a 15-yarder. Saquon had 53, to put it into perspective. He also had a pair of touches on the ground. The Giants were, in my opinion, though, the Giants were arguably the most blue-collar of the football teams this weekend that won games. They just grinded out a win against Minnesota. They went into Minnesota, a very difficult place to play in the playoffs. It was loud. It was over the top. They kept talking about it. I was listening to that broadcast on Saturday. They kept talking about it, and New York just continued to grind the football. They didn't ask Danny Dimes to do anything over the top. When there was nothing there, they gave him the opportunity to make a play himself. He was smart with the football. Saquon acted as a safety outlet more than this guy has to carry us, and it worked exceptionally well. I don't think the Giants are by any means the favorite out of the NFC.
I was going to say, if you look at all the games this weekend, the game outcome with the least likely to affect the Super Bowl, I think in a lot of people's opinion, would have been this game.
I don't disagree.
Because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to pick one game not to watch, this is the one. By the way, that's the one I didn't watch.
And that's fair. But, I mean, let's look. New York was a 9-win football team that went into the house of a 13-4 team and just grounded it out, right? They didn't feel the need. And by the way, don't get me wrong. Minnesota absolutely boated the bed down the stretch, as we knew they would, right? It's Minnesota. That's what they do in the playoffs. I told y'all last week, Minnesota at some point is going to Vikings their way out of the playoffs. I just didn't think it was going to be in round one. But they did. Baltimore, Cincinnati. If I could hand out a helmet sticker, Tyler Huntley gets one. Not because he had an incredible game. 17 of 29, 226, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He had the fumble at the goal line where he tried to go up and over and forgot he was 5'6".
That was a lot of fun to watch, though, the result of that. And him saying, "Oh, I reached it." He wasn't even close to getting that ball over the line. It just landed in the defender's hands like, "Oh, thank you." Pretty steady run by him, too, for a big guy.
Hubbard, fat guy touchdowns. Give me all the fat guy touchdowns.
He's not really. He's just a big guy, though. I mean,
fat guy touchdown.
Yeah, I was pretty happy.
If a
about
lineman
that.
scores, it's a fat guy touchdown. 6'5", 265, and drained that oxygen tank when he got to the sideline.
Let's say that guy walks in this room. He is not even close to being the fattest guy in the room. So I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm 260. I'm 6'3", 260. Anyway. And that defensive touchdown was the difference. Joe Burrow, 23 of 32, 209 and a touch. A pretty pedestrian day for Joey Ice. The Bengals ran the ball for 51 yards. The Ravens, 155. The Ravens did more on offense on both sides of the football. It was the defensive touchdown that made the difference. I'm going to tell you right now, that Bengals team and that Bills team, neither one of them are winning the AFC. They have both better have a real come-to-Jesus meeting with each other in that office today, because neither one of those teams is beating Kansas City at Kansas City. But Cincinnati did enough to get it done. And then finally, of course, last night, Dallas wins 31-14 in a game that frankly wasn't that close. 18-0 at the half. Should have been more. But for whatever reason, Brett Maher decided to absolutely boat the bed for Dallas. How about my dude going 1 for 5 on PATs? I don't know what broadcast you're watching. I was watching the Manning cast last night.
That's too distracting. I'd rather watch Brady suffer without commentary, because I can do my own commentary. And those guys will kiss Brady's butt. So I mean,
I mean, Peyton gives Tom Brady hell when he deserves it, and he did last night. I like the Manning cast for 2 reasons. Number one, they entertain me. They had Dion on last night. It was very engaging as a college football fan. In fact, tomorrow on the show, maybe this afternoon, but probably tomorrow on the show, we'll respond to some of the things Dion said on the Manning cast, because Dion did kind of go a little overboard for me. But I like the Manning cast because it engages the lady friend, and she's more apt to watch the whole game with me if the Mannings are on.
my wife kept saying, "You're fired. You're fired," to the kicker. She's like,
So-
no way that guy has a job tomorrow.
After missed PAT number 4, Peyton's on the air, right? They got the camera on Peyton, and he's holding a football, though. And I'm going to grab it to illustrate for the stream, because he had a Rob Brown moment, all right? As Lonzo can attest, because he's seen me bowl. When Rob Brown has a moment, the best way for me to get the rage out is to throw something. Not at anybody, not at anything, just in general. I'm like Steve Spurrier. The hat comes off and it gets slammed into the ground.
It's more like a sling than a slam.
It can be a sling, it can be a slam.
Because it gets some distance to it sometimes.
I played golf on Saturday, drove the hell out of the golf ball for 7 holes. Hole number 8 shanked a drive, and then it fell apart. On like 15, I hit a garbage drive, and I just threw the driver about 30 feet in the air and walked off, right? And buddy Andrew walks up, and he's like, "Yeah, man, golf's definitely not awkward when people start throwing stuff." And I'm like, "You don't understand. Once I throw the thing, I'm over it. Like, that's how I get over it, right? I'm not going to hold it with me. My next shot's going to be a banger. But I got to throw something to get a rage out. So Peyton's on the screen, and he's holding a football like I do when I do the show. And Brett Maher misses the third or fourth PAT, and Lonzo Peyton takes the ball, and he goes like this. Like he almost rocketed a football into the wall out of just rage. My mom texts me, and she's like, is Peyton okay? He looks really mad right now. And it's like, yeah, but you got to keep in mind, this is the same dude that once called his own kicker a liquored up idiot.
And let's face it, Peyton rifling a ball, it might hit the wall on the other side. It might not, because he just ain't got nothing left.
I don't know, man. I'll tell you right now, I would not want to be on the receiving end of a Peyton zing. I'm sure he's still got some gas in the tank. But Peyton was so mad, he about planted a football into the sheetrock of his house because of Miss PAT. Number 4, Brett, what are you doing? Anyway, the reason we spent more time talking kicker than football was because Dak looked good. 25 of 33, 305, 4 touchdowns. Also ran it for 24 and a touch. Tony Pollard picked up the slack where Zeke's been leaving off. 77 yards on 15 totes.
Go home, Tommy.
And Tom Brady, 35 of 66. Listen, I'm not a head coach in the NFL. If you run the ball 12 times in the playoffs, you're going to lose. They just abandoned the run entirely. 66 passing attempts for Tommy B. Wasn't enough. The Bucs are done. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, the NFC South has been placed in its coffin, inside of a bigger coffin, inside of a vault of concrete, and buried where it belongs. RIP 2022 NFC South season. What trash that was. 1 hour left. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Dan Campbell was on there and was pretty damn entertaining, to be honest with you. Pretty entertaining. Kevin, if Kansas City Buffalo is your AFC title game in Atlanta, Lonzo and I will be there covering it. You can bet on that. Believe that.
I really hope so. That would be awesome. Set 4 will probably be in the press box, which means I can't wear my colors or anything, and I have to not cheer. I can do that though. Pay. Yeah, we're only going if we get press passes.
Hey, who wants to make a resolution they can keep? Let's resolve to eat better pizza. Come on, you can do it with the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Let's start slow. Hit the crust. We'll hand toss that spring water dough just for you. Then add the freshest ingredients and serve it hot. Now, lift it. You're doing it. It's a change of pizza lifestyle. Happy New You from the Mellow Mushroom, 1 Augusta Street in Greenville's West End.
Absolutely, Kevin. Lifestyles are rich and famous for sure.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different from other money managers.
Different how?
Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
No, we use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios,
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
but you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Our lineup of playmakers.
The DA Show.
They're making tacos.
Weekdays at noon.
And Offsides with Mark Ryan and 3. Real sports talk for real sports fans. Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
LeBron James is the face of the NBA to this day. LeBron James is one of the most recognized athletes on a global scale. When you talk global recognition of sports, LeBron is in there.
I don't know, Kevin. Would you consider Zaxby's fast food? What do you think?
Yeah.
So if you consider Zaxby's fast food, I'll probably go with that. He's asking what our favorite fast food restaurant is.
New time. The Rob Brown Show. Now 9 to noon, only on the Fan Upstate.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
The Fan Upstate.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown and the great one, Lonzo, with you.
You know, we need some Dom Mysterio in the intro now.
Prison Dom's the best. The best. Hey, here's a question for you. If you're a fan of a team, how far does your fandom go? Right? Like, you guys know I'm a Saints fan. I have a fleur-de-lis tattooed on my back. Been a Saints fan since I was born.
Tramp stamp?
No, it's on my shoulder. Thank you for checking. I feel like you know that already. Funny to ask on the air, though. I'll give you that. How far are you willing to go? There's a guy that works for the hockey team. He is a Florida State fan. On his left arm, he has the old Chief Osceola head. He has Renegade and Osceola, a caricature of the horse, Chief Osceola, and he has the FSU spear tattoo. I have seen plenty of team tattoos over the years. I have seen people who have dedicated entire rooms of their houses to their favorite sports team. I have seen people name their children after their favorite team and or players. How far are you willing to go for your team? The Green Bay Packers Fan Hall of Fame class has been announced. And there is one gentleman vying to enter the Green Bay Packers Fan Hall of Fame, who refers to himself as Mr. Packer. Why does he refer to himself as Mr. Packer? Because Ryan Murphy met and married his wife. His wife's last name was Packer. So when they got married, Ryan Murphy decided that he would take his wife's last name, not because of some progressive mindset, not because he is trying to change the patriarchy. No, ladies and gentlemen.
He's not even hyphenating?
Nope. My man has dropped his last name of Murphy in order to become Ryan Packer, just so that he can now be Ryan Holton Murphy Packer. Literally married and took his wife's last name just so he can be Mr. Packer. That's pretty damn dedicated, I think.
Where does he live? Does he live in Green Bay?
Milwaukee.
Okay, so you're close.
Right down the road. Milwaukee, Wisconsin is where Ryan Murphy has now become Ryan Packer so that he could be Mr. Packer.
Probably wouldn't even get a hard time from the fellas on that.
Not like, listen, I personally don't care. If a dude ever got married and said, I'm taking my wife's name, all right, cool, whatever. Right? Women have been taking men's last name for 2,000 years. If one dude decides to take his wife's last name, I don't care. Whatever. It's your life. Have at it. That's your thing. If a woman decides not to take her husband's last name, again, I don't care. If she just keeps her own last name or decides to hyphenate or they both decide to hyphenate, I'm cool with that. I don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. But going and taking your wife's last name, not out of some deep symbolism, not out of a showing of genuine love or respect or appreciation for her family, right? Like, if Rob Brown got married to some billionaire heiress who's like, I'm only going to marry you if you change your last name, Rob Brown would have a hell of a decision to make. So on one hand, I like being Rob Brown. On the other hand, I think I'd also like being a billionaire. I'd like to try someday. But seeking out and marrying a woman so that I could change my name to be Mr. Saint, granted, kind of badass now that I say it out loud.
Welcome to the Rob Saint Show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all the trademark violations are coming in hot now, right? Just call it the Saint Show. And they couldn't come after me because it's literally my name. My dude went to Mr. Packer just to be Mr. Packer, the Green Bay Packers fan. I think I respect it. I think I respect it. I really do. The Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame voting is up right now. They've got bios of all the people that are involved here. And Ryan Packer is on them, or is on there. Let me see here. Green Bay Packer fans are known for being loyal, friendly, and just a little bit crazy. No one personifies these characteristics more than Ryan Holton Murphy Packer, the man who was willing to change his name to show his love for the green and gold and his beautiful wife. So there you go, I guess. His wife's name, Marie Packer. He said there were many things that attracted me to Marie, but the green and gold icing on the cheesecake was her last name, Packer. All right, dude. Have at. All you. All right. we have gotten some feedback, some thoughts from some of you guys about the opening segment of the show. And I'm going to hit it one more time real quick. If you missed it, on Friday night, as I'm settled in to do a little Swamp Rabbits hockey, the phone starts going crazy. Open Twitter to find out that I have, between my personal handle and the Fan Upstate handle, about 160 notifications to scroll through. Like, what is going on? And if you missed the reason why, it is because from the Fan Upstate Twitter page went a tweet from Offsides with Mark Ryan that said, quote, Shane Beamer in South Carolina really wanted Garrett Riley. Clemson got him. What does that say about the tier status of both of these two programs? Followed by a link that you could click on that would take you to the podcast page of the Fan Upstate's website, where, by the way, you can listen to every single hour of the Rob Brown Show and catch up on everything you missed. Shane Beamer responded to that tweet. Shane Beamer responded to that tweet with a tweet of his own that said, and let me get it pulled back up here, but it said, usually I don't respond to JV second-rate radio programs. Here it is. Here's the tweet. I normally don't respond to second-rate JV radio programs I've never heard of, and apparently no one else has either, considering you're in the upstate and have 8,000 followers. Do you have a good source other than, I don't know, me? Happy for Garrett. We got our guy, end quote. And that tweet, since it was posted, has been seen 2.8 million times, has been responded to 860 times, has been retweeted or quote tweeted 1,364 times, and has been liked 7,852 times. Now, to give you an idea of what those numbers are like, I'll go back 2 days prior. Gamecocks Athletics put up a tweet hyping the Beamer Ball, which I am getting the impression is effectively a suit and tie extravaganza that is to be held.
Oh, ball like in dance.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
It's the old play on words, right? You got Beamer Ball, the way that Beamer coaches his ball team. You got the Beamer Ball, which is a high-end dinner and dance party that is going to be held on the field inside Willie B. Shane quote tweeted that with the tweet, last year was awesome, this year will be even better. That tweet has been seen less than 86,500 times compared to the 2.8 million the tweet about the Fan Upstate was seen. That tweet was liked 707 times compared to the 7,852 of the tweet at the Fan Upstate. That tweet was quote tweeted 35 times as opposed to the 1,364 of his tweet at the Fan Upstate. And that tweet was responded to 19 times compared to the 860 that were responded to when he tweeted about the Fan Upstate. Now, I'm going to say one thing about Mark. I'm going to say one thing about Shane. When it comes to Mark Ryan, I have said, and I'll say this, and it's not anything that I wouldn't obviously say to his face in a conversation about it between the two of us. If what Mark Ryan said is factually correct and can be proven, then Shane's response is going to look real bad for him. And Mark's going to have dirt over Shane for years. If what Mark Ryan said is information that was given to him by a source, and that source was wrong, and therefore the story is wrong, then Mark made a mistake, certainly not the worst one in the world, and he will have to suffer the blowback from it. And the third option, if Mark Ryan made this story up specifically for the purposes of making South Carolina look bad, then shame on Mark. And I would say that to him, and I would say that to Diesel. I would say that to Lonzo. I would say that to anyone with a microphone in this building. I would say that to any young person that I was mentoring in this industry. If you make up a story and try to pass it off as fact, especially designing it in a way to make someone or something look bad, then shame on you. I don't know which of those three things is correct. Mark and I don't talk about our shows, our content, our prep. We never have, we never will. Hell, for the record, Mark and I didn't talk about our content and prep when we were on the same show together years ago. So I don't know which one of those three things is the accurate thing. As far as Shane goes, I, unlike other people here at the station, have zero problem with Shane Beamer's tweet. None at all. For a variety of reasons. Number one, someone attacked the credibility of his program. Let me phrase that. Not the credibility. Someone attacked the standing of his program, right? Someone put out information, factually correct or not is irrelevant. Someone put out information designed, and I think I can say this, designed to make the argument that this proves that Clemson is still ahead of South Carolina. That's what Mark's segment was. Shane, whose job is to continue to build up the, quote, tier standing, end quote, of South Carolina, Shane defended his baby, defended his program. I got no problem with that. Shane crafted a tweet designed to take down the Fan Upstate by saying it was a second-rate JV radio program I've never heard of, and apparently no one else is either, considering you're in the Upstate and have 8,000 followers. That was designed to kick the legs out from under this radio station. I don't take that personally. And I don't take it personally because whether Mark was right or wrong, the tweet that put out the segment certainly was designed to make it sound as if South Carolina had lost its legs to Clemson. You kick my leg, I kick yours. That's what Shane did. And the third reason I don't have a problem with Shane Beamer's tweet, attacking the station I work for, the third reason I don't have a problem with it is because Shane, along with a percentage of newer college football coaches, I put Mike Norvell in this category, I put Deion Sanders in this category, have figured out that there is one place you can go where you can get recruits and fans and boosters all on the same page with you. It is social media. Shane could go on 10,000 booster meetings. He could travel the entire United States of America and speak to every single different South Carolina booster club. From California to South Carolina, from North Dakota to Texas. He could hit every one of them. And Shane Beamer would not stand in front of 2.8 million people. This tweet did. I've talked to you guys about the evolving landscape of coaching college athletics in the year 2023 and moving forward. One of the things that you do not have to like, but you do have to accept, is that you will reach more people with social media than you will with handshakes. There is a reason that in my line of work, you are demanded to be on social media. It is not an option. When I applied for the gig, one of the first things they asked me was, send us your social media followings. Send us examples of your post. One of the first conversations I had with my boss was him going back and pulling 2 or 3 tweets from a couple of years ago and going, this kind of stuff can't be on your Twitter feed anymore. And are you willing to stop? And me going, yep, absolutely. Social media has a massive impact. It's not always positive, but it does exist. And Shane recognized that. Shane could have called into every other radio station in South Carolina to complain about ours, to complain about Mark, to complain about Diesel, to complain about that show, to complain about the station. He is not getting in front of 2.8 million people doing so. He's just not. Maybe if he brought it up on like Marty McGee on TV, maybe on Feinbaum's show, maybe if he did the ESPN car wash and hit up FS1, maybe he'd get to 2.8 mil. But on Twitter, he's been in front of 2.8 million people. That's astonishing. So when a guy tries to kick the legs out from under the program, and Shane directly responds, he wants to put that response in front of as many people as possible. As many people as possible. And mission accomplished. And he wanted to get it in front of as many Gamecocks as possible, to get them fired up, to get them riled up, to get them coming to his defense. Mission accomplished. I got no problem with what Shane tweeted. Like I said, to me, there are 3 possibilities with Mark's story. It's factually correct, and Shane's going to look bad if that ever comes out. It's factually incorrect, and Mark got it from a bad source, in which case he made a mistake he's going to have to live with. Or, number 3, Mark made it up. I don't know which of those is most likely or which is true. I know Mark's claim is likely unfalsifiable, right? Because if at any point Garrett Riley's name was written down on a notepad on Shane Beamer's desk, then technically Mark was correct. Regardless of how he got the information or if he made it up, he was still technically correct. If he was never a candidate, if he was never a guy that Shane wanted, I don't know that you can prove that. Shane can say all day, he was not our guy. Garrett Riley could come out and say, I never had a conversation with the Gamecocks. But there's no way to prove for 100% certainty that that is factually incorrect. So this altercation just is going to be what it is. He says. Mark says X. Shane says Y. We'll never know who's telling the truth. We'll never know who's right. But I don't have a problem with Shane firing back at a coworker, at a friend off the air, at a coworker on it. I don't have a problem with him firing back because he's defending his program and getting his fan base involved in the process. And Shane Beamer is taking the strides that Shane Beamer is taking because he, along with a small number of other coaches, have figured out how to use social media to do just that. And it's worked. And it's working here. So I don't particularly have a dog in the fight, like Lonzo said, and he's correct. Does Shane's tweet hurt me and Lonzo? Sure it does. It hurts the radio station. It hurts me and Lonzo. I'm not disagreeing with that because I know for a fact, as I have spoken with a few of them, I have gotten my fair share of DMs from listeners, both known and unknown, saying, I will never listen to your station again. Selfishly, I don't care what you listen to as long as you listen to this show, right? Selfishly, I want you to listen to the show. And I know that there are Gamecocks who are never going to listen to this show just because we're affiliated with Mark. And Shane kicked the legs from Mark, and they're going to go, well, Shane beat him, so we're going to beat him too. I know that. Shane saw a radio station account tweet something that said Clemson outdid Carolina. Shane has a very vested interest in not allowing the belief that Clemson outdid Carolina coming off of a time when he just beat Clemson for perpetuating itself on the internet. Doesn't matter whether Mark's right or wrong. Doesn't matter whether he's got a snapshot of Garrett Wrightley's name on Shane Beamer's laptop or if he made the whole thing up. All that matters is the perception. The perception that that tweet created, whether it was Mark's intention or not. The intention of that tweet was to make it look as if South Carolina lost to Clemson at something. Shane just beat Clemson in the one place that it mattered the most, on the scoreboard. So Shane has a very vested interest in making sure that that 31-30 scoreline is all that matters until February when the next recruiting class closes out. Until next November when those two teams get together at Willie B and run it back. Of course he fired back. I don't have a problem with him firing back. Texter said Beamer didn't deny having interest in Riley. Rather, Beamer insulted the messenger and merely stated that they got their guy. Well, I would say you are correct. He did not directly refute the claim. But I would say asking the question, do you have a good source other than me, I don't know me, is mincing words, but refuting the claim. And saying, happy for Garrett, we got our guy, is refuting the claim. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. But again, it's irrelevant. His shot, calling us a second-rate JV radio program and pointing out that our follower count is 8,000 in the upstate, was an attempt to slam the station in order to kill off what he saw as a station-driven narrative that Clemson outshined Carolina at something, at a moment where Carolina is trotting around the 31-30 scoreboard for another 300 some odd days. I don't have an issue with it. I will be listening to Mark Ryan this afternoon. My name is Rob Brown. The great one Lonzo's at the helm, and you're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to The Fan Upstate.
Here's the FC's most trusted forecast on The Fan Upstate. The CP scattered rain showers here for today with cloudy skies, a high 57. Tonight mostly cloudy, low 45. Wednesday chance for rain, high cloudy, 65 degrees. Thursday another chance for rain, cloudy, high 66. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on The Fan Upstate. Currently it's 45.
And now, Mark Ryan's Morning Sports Spin.
You know, nationally, this edition did not make as big of a splash as it did locally. But here in the state of South Carolina, Shane Beamer, a couple of days after early signing day, getting Lenore Sellers, state champion of South Florence.
All right, let's see here.
No key recruiting moves any coach made. Lenore's, in my opinion, is the best player in the state. And now he joins an insanely talented QB room at South Carolina. That features Spencer Rattler, Tanner Bailey, Braden Davis, Colton Gottlieb, Luke Doty, Dante Reno, and now the aforementioned Sellers. Folks, he's already 6'3", 215. He's already got a body to...
I mean, maybe, Kevin. I mean, maybe. And again, if this was an attention play, listen, I'm going to say what I've heard said a million times by a lot of people, disagree or agree. I don't care. At the end of the day, our job is entertainment, right? Regardless. To me, my job is to come in here and be a real good sports talker. But at the end of the day, our job is entertainment. Our job is to give people something to listen to, react to, engage with. And it's supposed to be based around sports. when the head coach of a Southeastern Conference school gets involved with the outlet that you do that for, I didn't see, considering the number of times that it was brought to my attention over the weekend, I did not see a way for us not to talk about it, right? And if we have to talk about it, you cannot talk about it without bringing what was done or said by Mark into play. I will also tell you that I have done interviews in the past, like for instance, when I did my interview at ACC Media Kickoff last year with DJ Uiagalelei, that Mark Ryan played the whole interview on his show with my voice in it, right? Because sometimes we do work for the same outlet. We are on the same team. Sometimes content is created that is bigger than I want all the attention to myself on the show, right? Don't get me wrong. Me and Mark both want to beat each other. Because if we're both driving each other to beat each other and be better, the station benefits from it. Without a doubt. Not necessarily be petty and pedantic and argue back and forth between each other. What is discussed, though, when it comes to content like this, when it involves the other person, you have to bring it up. You just have to. Let's see. Hudson says, man, by responding the way he did, he negatively affected an entire radio station over one person's tweet, which was what he was angry about and totally hypocritical. He should have a higher standard. We talked about that too, Hudson, and I didn't get the chance to bring it up in that segment because I just shorted myself with Mr. Packer. Correct. He did bring down the whole station, but the tweet came from a station account and it did not have any other names attached to it. Right. If that came from Mark's account and then he took down the station, yeah, I'd have a problem with it. But it came from the station account with no names, no initials, no signatures, no show links, no pictures. It just came from the station account. So who else is he going to take down? It's not Shane Beamer's job to do the research, to listen to the segment. Okay, let me listen to the segment and find out who said it and when they said it. And that way I can respond to the one person. No. The station put it out on the station Twitter account, and therefore the station has to take the heat, fair or not. Yeah, that's it. And that is a very prevalent mentality. I'm not saying we have to be right all the time. We do have to be entertaining all the time. I don't agree with Hot Take Radio. I don't agree with Hot Take Radio. I don't agree with Make Stuff Up Radio. I'm not saying that's what Mark did. I'm saying I don't agree with that type of radio. But at the end of the day, the fact that Skip Bayless makes the money he makes proves that entertainment value is more important than anything else. Texas says, Rod, to be truthful, Beamer can say whatever he wants. Yes, they beat Clemson, but until they win the SEC or Natty, as long as Clemson keeps winning, they are second tier. I mean,
second tier to who?
Then you just lost to a second tier team. I don't understand. Yeah, it's not the burn you were crafting. It's not the burn you hope you were crafting.
But the kind of cleverness that we expect from you.
Texas says, here we go again, Gamecock country. Let's crow on this show. Not one mention of the Clemson men's basketball final, downing Duke, and being number 19 in the country. Yes,
but wait, Rob. What about us? What about you're not paying attention to us? Talk about us, Rob, please.
I definitely.
You sound desperate, dude.
I definitely did not, and I'll make this. I'll feel confident saying this. Outside of the other station in town, which is definitely only a Clemson station, and it's not a shot at them. There are some people who only want Clemson talk, and that's okay if that's all you want.
Like that texter, yes.
Right. If that's all you want, if all you want is Clemson talk, then this show and this station ain't for you. And that's okay.
I wouldn't say the station, just this show. You get plenty of that later. So, I mean,
if you
tune in later.
exclusively and only Clemson talk, like wall to wall and nothing else. This show on the station ain't for you. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll be willing to bet that last week, because keep in mind, it is day number 1 of this week, Texter. I'll be willing to bet that last week.
It's kind of like it's day number 2.
Broadcast day number 1.
Okay, they'll come back at you on that.
Okay,
So
it is my first show of the week.
There we go.
I would be willing to bet that last week, outside of the Clemson station in town that only does Clemson sports, I was the only person that brought up the fact that Clemson was 6-0 in the ACC. I'll be willing to bet that last week, I was the only person not on that station that brought up the win over Pittsburgh on the road. That brought up the fact that this is now the best start since before 95-96. The only person who absolutely went off and criticized the fact that Clemson at that point was sitting at 13-3, at 14-3, and was not ranked. In fact, was ranked behind some of the other ACC teams like Miami, who is 6-2 in the conference. I bet it's the only one. But that's okay. Yes, it turns out if you have an SEC head coach come after your station, come after a coworker, it's content, my dude. At the end of the day, what sport on this station, whether you like it or not, here, I'll even let Aunt Lonzo answer, so I'm not biased.
All right.
What sport's number 1 on this station?
You just said Aunt Lonzo. We could go back and I know you slipped, and I know you didn't mean to say it, but still.
I believe I said, and I'll let Lonzo answer,
yeah,
but I screwed the pooch.
Some
That's
things
fine.
were just,
All right, before we get to Ralph.
I was getting ready to walk.
Unc Zoe, before we get to Ralph.
I prefer Grandpa Zoe.
All right, Papa. Before we get to Ralph, what sport is number 1 on this station, whether you like it or not?
That would be football, Rob.
It would be college football specifically.
Not on this show because
we're NFL guys.
NFL guys, yeah.
My man Ralph is hanging on the line, wants to talk a little bit about this Beamer story. Ralph, welcome back, my dude.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I've been chomping at the bit all weekend after this craziness on Twitter. I don't know that I'm going to get into my buddy Mark's show today, but I just wanted to have his back because there's these people out there that don't think I'm really a Gamecock fan because I bash him all the time and that idiot Ray Tanner. Let me tell you something. I've been a fan since '87. I watched Brad Edwards run that ball back against Clemson to win the game on that pick 6, and I've been tied in ever since. I know everything about this program, and you want to talk about choking on the irony. I've been choking all weekend. You talk about a JV second-rate coach, that's Shane Beamer. I've never seen anybody more JV second-rate than that guy. How do you freaking lose to Missouri, for God's sake? I'm so tired of this guy. I'm tired of Ray Tanner. It's his fault that friggin' moron brought this child down. You know what? Back in the day when Shane was a little boy, I bet he was a little spoiled brat up there in Blacksburg, Virginia. I bet his dad was never around, so to keep his trap shut, his mother had to give him everything he wanted. So he's grown up in life and he can't take any criticism. I loved every word of what Mark said. You know that he made a call to Garrett Riley for crying out loud. He was on his brother's staff. So I don't want to hear any crap about our station being second rate. This is the only place I got to talk. You guys are the only people that let me talk in the upstate. I'm gonna have you back. I hate that freaking station down there and those jackasses they got running that place. I'm all about you guys. I'm all about Mark, and I'm all about sticking it to Beamer. So stick it, Beamer.
Beamer. Shane Beamer.
Lost the accent a little bit in places,
Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, he emphasized in the spots which will make it stand out, but there's a couple of places where
Lonzo,
lost
are
it.
you calling Crazy Ralph a fake?
No, I'm just saying that the accent, he lost the accent, and if you live somewhere for a long time, you lose parts of your accent. You pick up some other things from, the dialect of the area. So maybe that had something to do with it. What do I know though? I just listen for a living.
Interesting. I will tell you this. Shane Beamer did what Muschamp couldn't do. He got him that win on the road at Clemson. And he won the game.
But at the same time, his reaction, Shane Beamer's reaction to the station tweet, which should have been identified as the person who you got to put your name on it. But anyway, do you recall any other coach at any level doing this? And I don't, which is why it's standing out, which is why, Sports Illustrated picked it up like a few hours later. Yeah. And just about anyone can write for Sports Illustrated. So I don't know if you want to.
I mean, that was on their main page.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing is, when it comes down to it, do you see Nick Saban doing this? Do you even see Dabo doing this? That's the problem.
No, but this is what I was talking about, right? Like, I think part of the success of Shane Beamer has been the fact that Shane Beamer isn't doing it like if you come in and try to do it the way that Dabo did it, Dabo's going to kick your ass in this state because you're not going to do Dabo better than Dabo.
I do get it. I was talking to my wife about this, and I said that Shane Beamer is more of a social media guy. And I get that. I do. I understand. I mean, if you want to get in the political realm, one of the reasons why Barack Obama won is because he took advantage of social media, one of the first presidents to do that.
I would argue Donald Trump elevated even that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So, I mean, that's what you do right now. But until this is the norm, this is going to stand out, and it's going to look kind of petty.
Sure.
Because no other coach is doing this stuff.
I think that is not only an apt comparison, I think it's spot on. A large chunk of the reason Barack Obama became a phenom is because he worked the online community better than anybody else ever had. And he grew a groundswell of support under him. Donald Trump did the same thing in a very different way, right? He worked social media in a very different way, and he allowed people who feel like, fair or not, true or not, like they had been disenfranchised, they didn't have a voice. They felt like he was now their voice on this massive platform. Shane Beamer can't be Dabo. He can't be Nick Saban. If you try, one of the reasons that I am unapologetically myself on the radio station is not because I think, I'm just going to be the best if I do it my way. It's because if I do it anybody else's way, what's the point? I'm never going to be a better Skip than Skip. I'm never going to be a better SAS than SAS. I'm never going to be a better Mike than Mike. Golick or Greeny, take your pick. I'm never going to be a better Jim Rome than Jim Rome. The only thing I can be is the best damn version of Rob Brown. And if that works, hell yeah, to the top. And if it doesn't work, I did it my way and I failed, and that's okay. It's on to something else, right? Shane is Shane. And working social media is something that other coaches, Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, don't do. And it is an outlet of communication between the head coach's office and recruits and boosters and fans that he can take advantage of. So I don't fault him for doing it. And if you want to get noticed on social media, you got to do something that stands out. You got to do something creative, different, or over the top that stands out. And Shane's killing it. Killing it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break. When we come back, I got one quick thing that is completely non-sports I want to get to, and then we get to Twitter trending topics and call it a day. My name is Rob Brown. The great one Lonzo's on the other side of the board, and you're listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Touchdowns and ran for another. Prescott 25 of 33 passing, 305.
People are getting worked into a shoot, brother. Good take, JMO.
This whole thing's a work, man.
Supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Greenville area attorneys. 55 Beatty Place, Suite 900, Greenville, South Carolina, 29601. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Granger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest
I
questions.
don't know what Fuji is. I thought they made film.
Or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
So that's my answer. I'm guessing Rob knows what Fuji is.
I don't.
Suppose it's a restaurant.
Apparently, it's like hibachi. It's like it's like hibachi to go.
Hmm.
I mean, sure.
Oh, okay.
If I can get it without getting out of my car, it's fast food. That's pretty much the rule.
Yeah,
like
but
Five Guys is right there on the border. I would even. It's like I can't even say Five Guys is fast food.
I think you should go eat there today. And tomorrow. And the next day. Enjoy like a big old bag of fries. You go right ahead. I haven't ate there in years. But most restaurants now will bring your food out to you, won't they? And to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, Courtney and I have been in the past, and definitely not recently, very guilty of getting Chili's, the curbside.
right. So, I mean, things change with COVID as far as them bringing a food out to you. But I haven't had Chili's in a while.
I don't hate a Chili's.
Fajitas is not really that high in calories if you don't eat the
Oh, I've been killing the air fryer game. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Final segment of the day. I just found this, Lonzo. I didn't know this existed. It came across my Twitter, and then I did the research during the break to find out if it was true. And it turns out, according to Snopes, it is. Apparently, and I'm curious as to how we feel about this. Apparently, Sony owns a patent that would allow them, should they choose, to put a microphone onto their television. And an option for you that this microphone will make possible would be that if there is a commercial on television, you could end the commercial early by yelling the name of the company in the commercial at the television. So if you happen, and I'm using McDonald's Not because I'm anti-McDonald's. In fact, quite the opposite. I will bang down a filet of fish sandwich really quick. But McDonald's is the illustration in the patent, which is real. If a McDonald's commercial came on during your show and you did not want to watch the commercial and wanted to get back to your show, instead of letting the 30-second commercial play out, you could look at your television and go, McDonald's. And the commercial would end and go back to your television show.
So you couldn't yell, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, and then it would stop.
I don't know. I don't know if it, so my thought would be that would be the next iteration, right? Like McDonald's, instead of having you yell McDonald's, would be like, yell the name of your favorite McDonald's product for this commercial to end, and you can go back to your show. So you'd have to be like, quarter pounder with cheese. And then it goes back to Star Wars or whatever. How do we feel about that? Like, on one hand, I'm like, my initial thing was like, I don't want my TV to have a mic that can listen to me. But then I realized I got Alexas in my house. That's already a thing. Also,
remotes now are voice activated.
Yep.
And if you've ever watched a remote, sometimes it just comes on.
Well, look, I've got an Alexa in our office, and the wake up word is computer, right? Because I'm a Star Trek dork. How many conversations have you and me and Captain America Chris Evans down the hall had about our individual computers? And you say the word computer, and it's like, and then it recognizes it's not talking. You're not talking to it, and it goes back to sleep. Do I want that on my television? But then I'm like, on the flip side, if I could make a 30-second commercial 5 seconds by just going McDonald's, it's not going to make me get my lazy behind off the couch and go to McDonald's, and then I don't have to watch commercials. I'm really having a problem with this one. It's a moral conundrum.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
That's what a DVR is for. You just hit that 30-second skip. Boom, boom, boom,
yeah, but
boom.
Sometimes I watch things live.
So archaic. All right. The first thing that's trending is The Mandalorian.
The season 3 trailer dropped during the game last night. And okay.
Oh, come on. I'm so excited
Did
for that.
Did it fire you up?
Yes.
Did it really? It didn't really fire me up.
It's the fight for Mandalore. Of course it's going to fire me up. He may end up being the king of Mandalore.
I don't know, man. Like, there's elements of the story I'm very interested in. I got to tell you.
Watching Grogu expel someone with his force powers.
That was kind of dope.
Yeah,
Can I tell you what's happened to me with that? I'm so sick of seeing Grogu everywhere that I'm kind of like over the character. I'm like oversaturated with Baby Yoda. I kind of just want the battle for me. I don't need to see him dragging Grogu around for another 12 episodes. I've already seen it. You hit an interesting conclusion introducing him to Luke at the end of the last one. Just let me watch the Mandalorian be a badass. That's all I want now.
That's his clan now, and he has to teach his clan. That's his.
But he's not. He's not a Mandalorian.
Mandalorian is a religion.
I understand that. I'm saying he is a foundling at best, and he's clearly not yet in a spot to be made a Mandalore. So,
by the way, the armorer on the Mandalore, she will be at South Carolina Comic-Con this year. They just announced it this weekend. Yes, so there's a chance to meet her if you wanted to know what she looked like underneath the Mandalorian helmet, because she can't take it off because it's religion.
Yep.
One last thing that's trending: Susanna Hoff.
Dude, I used to have the biggest crush on Susanna Hoff. It is her 68th birthday.
63. And it's not just her birthday. Today's also James Earl Jones' birthday at 92.
Happy birthday.
And Dexter Loomis. It's his birthday.
Today's a big birthday day. The lead singer of my band's birthday is today as well. It is Courtney's sister-in-law's birthday. Happy birthday, Hannah. If you happen to be listening today, happy birthday to you. I just found a picture of Susanna Hoff at 62. Damn. Anyway, y'all, Have a lovely rest of your Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again and better. He is Lonzo. I am Rob. Jim Rome's up next. Mark Ryan's got you at 3. Have a good one on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Kevin says, Ron, you're not a Star Wars fan. Don't you gatekeep me like that. You know what the problem is with Grogu? It's that all the non-Star Wars fans stan Grogu. I don't have an issue with Grogu. I'm saying so here for Christmas this year, my nephew, who is 5.
You sound really certain
Sorry,
there.
6. Just turned 6. I was trying to remember how old he is. Just turned 6. Has started to get into Star Wars, right? Gotten big into Vader, etc. I went to go buy him Star Wars stuff. And all I found for 6-year-olds was Grogu stuff. That's it. I couldn't find a Mandalorian shirt anywhere. All I could find was Grogu stuff. I don't have an issue with Grogu. I have an issue with Grogu being the only representative of the Star Wars universe right now. Now that you've ended me on a rant, goodbye. See you all tomorrow. But sincerely, thanks for watching. Bye.
Good day, sir.